Now I'd like to introduce Peter Goodhan, Executive Director of the Global Alliance for Genomics and Health, a member of the Global Genes Medical and Science Advisory Board, and the 2014 Champion of Hope in Collaborations in Science. Therefore, it's only appropriate that Peter will present this award of collaboration in science. Please join me in welcoming Peter to the stage.
Thank you. I thought when Nicole invited me to present this award, it was because I was one of the two winners last year. I realized it's so she could keep up the ratio of people with accents from across the ocean presenting awards. I would also like to say that, we get the chance of being the last of the awards, and I would just like to congratulate all the other awards, and a special call out, if you'll forgive the fact I live in Canada, to Maddie, because from my office I see Queen's Park, and I've spent many, many days in there trying to change the mind of the Minister of Health. So you have my special respect. As we've already said, the Global Alliance was recognized last year in this particular award for collaboration in science. And it was very much at a personal level. That was my response for the last 20 odd years of dealing with a rare disease that impacted my family. Was the one thing I could do was drive collaborations in science. I'm not a scientist, but I could link research, I could link business, I could link to clinical care. So I'm particularly honored to be able to present this award. I've read about the pioneering work, and I've had the opportunity to talk to our two awardees. And they've made amazing progress in just a couple of years. And it's been pioneering work, and it's been driven by partnership. And their passion, their commitment to make a real difference in the life of families living with their disease. And that's the ALD community. And in just 2 years, they formed a network, a collaboration, ALD Connect, that has a clinical trials network, a patient network, and they've laid the foundation for collecting sequence data and put that in another collaboration with an even larger initiative that can start to look at big data. They're led collectively, collaboratively, by researchers, clinicians from 6 different institutions, by patient advocates, and they have, alongside them, industry partners making their critical contribution. Collectively, they define collaboration. Dr. Florence Eichler cannot be here this evening, but it is my honor to invite Ben Lanai and Kathleen OSullivan Fortin to the stage as this year's Champion of Hope, Collaboration in Science.
Well, thank you so much to Global Genes. So we're here to accept this award, this wonderful award on behalf of the organization. ALD, X-linked adrenoleukodystrophy, is a rare metabolic disease. It is a single gene mutation, an inability that causes an inability to metabolize a key element, and this element accumulates in the body and causes neurological damage. Based on the age of onset, the progression can be very fast and very grim, or can be milder, as is typical as the age of onset is later in life. So ALD Connect is a patient-powered research network. Kathleen and I are on the board of directors. We have 9 neurologists and 4 patients or patient representatives on the board. I'd like to acknowledge some key people who got us here on this stage. First, my cousin Wendy White, who is very well known in the rare disease community as a wonderful connector and enabler. About 2 years ago, Wendy said, "You have to meet Nicole Boyce, who is a force of nature." And so Nicole came to Palo Alto, my hometown, And I thought of a place to take her for a power breakfast, and I chose Il Fornaio, which, if you know Palo Alto, Il Fornaio is the place for the power breakfast. And so we were at breakfast. There was Bill Gates in the room, Elon Musk, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, Marissa Mayer, CEO of Yahoo, Meg Whitman, CEO of HP, but Nicole was the real star. She was the really important person. And then, of course, we got nominated today by our wonderful industry partner, biotech company out of Boston, Cambridge, Mass, Bluebird Bio, which is working on the greatest hope for the pediatric phenotype of the disease, a very innovative gene therapy that potentially could cure our boys who are affected by this disease. So what ALD Connect is about is really to plug 3 key gaps and arguably a 4th gap, but it's to plug to compensate a deficit of knowledge among patients, of collaboration among physicians, and of a deficit of patient input to physicians. And so we, over the last 2 years, have created, we've kind of accumulated a lot of knowledge, and we've published a lot of information to patients, because I can tell you, I, for myself, was diagnosed 5 years ago, read the Wikipedia entry on this disease, was absolutely devastated and didn't know where to turn. So we're trying to remedy that critical gap. We're also fostering collaboration among physicians. These are eminent researchers, but they work within they've worked in the past in the silos, in the confines of their organizations, and we're creating a platform for collaboration, including some key infrastructure like a patient registry, natural history study, a biomarker database, and so on. And then finally, a way to have patients give advice to physicians, and in a relationship of equals, a relationship of mutual trust and respect. Too often in the rare disease community, I think you see both extremes. You have people who are very deferential to physicians and a little bit of a paternalistic relationship, or people who are very, very impatient and very antagonistic. And the idea here is to really craft a relationship of equals and have physicians and researchers take guidance from patients around priorities, clinical trials, and where the funding should be spent. And the final point is we have not had a leading role, but we've had a supportive role in advocating a key public policy measure, which is newborn screening for this disease. And it actually comes very often twinned with Krabbe. And newborn screening for this disease is not only morally the right thing to do, but also we think is going to be of tremendous clinical benefit for patients and for a deeper knowledge about the disease. So to conclude, I will tell you, I think we're here on this stage because as patients, the most relevant way to help yourself is by contributing what you know and helping others. So instead of feeling helpless, despondent, I feel like I'm making a difference for this disease. And I will tell you just one quick anecdote in closing. I finally got around to watching the Ken Burns documentary on the Roosevelts, and I did not realize how sick Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our great president, had been. It was long believed that he was struck with polio. It actually probably was Guillain-Barré syndrome, but he caught it when he was 41. He was near death for about 9 months. He became blind. He was extremely ill, and he was in a funk for years. I didn't realize how long. I mean, he obviously was fighting clinical depression. He never had the use of his legs again. He felt his political career was over. And he, one day, was traveling through Georgia and found that legendary place, Warm Springs, which is a thermal, a place with thermal springs. And he bought it. He purchased the place, and he fixed it up. He refurbished it. He made it into a therapeutic center for kids and adults afflicted with neurodegenerative diseases. And that gave him back his legendary lust for life. He was alive again. He was kind of the benevolent godfather of the facility. He would talk to people. He would swim with people. He would mentor and encourage people. And by being helpful to others, he brought himself back to life. And we know what the rest of the story is. So again, thank you so very much.
Just organize my little papers here. I'm Kathleen OSullivan Fortin, and I just, on behalf of the entire board of ALD Connect, I would just like to thank you all for even putting us on the list among these amazing nominees and awardees tonight. I'm truly honored. My entree into the ALD world came a few years ago, about 5 years ago. This may be sharing a little about my personality, but, and you'll note I'm a tremendous oversharer, so I apologize in person. It was New Year's Eve, 2010, and my son, we were having a family dance party. My son had taken off his shirt, was swinging it over his head, and really whooping it up. And I glanced at him and thought, God, he's really tan. And we live in Boston, and we haven't vacationed very frequently, and I probably don't tan very well. So I thought, gosh, that's odd. And that was kind of, for us, that was the beginning of the odyssey, because ALD, adrenoleukodystrophy, the first part is adrenal. And for us, that was our first indication that he had some sort of adrenal dysfunction. I will say that's not normally a catch probably a lot of people are in a position to make. I am lucky enough to have, my father is a retired neurologist, and my sister has adrenal dysfunction, which at the time we thought nothing of, and we thought, I said, you know, I Googled it, I looked it up, I said, gosh, you know, maybe this means he's got adrenal dysfunction too. Does he have Addison's? Should we talk about this? And my dad said, oh, good catch, yeah, call your pediatrician. And so, you know, we did the requisite tests, and they said, oh yeah, again, great catch, Mom. Adrenal dysfunction, and they gave him quick and easy cortisone replacement, and it was like a switch went on. I often used to describe my son as an Eeyore. He was kind of a lap boy. You know, my friends' boys would be climbing and jumping, and I'd think, they're terrible parents. You know, look at my son. He's right here. He's so quiet. He's so, you know, he wouldn't jump or climb or do anything. He was just very subdued, mellow dude. And then once he got a whiff of cortisone, I learned it was not my parenting. It was adrenal insufficiency. And so, you know, we learned about adrenal insufficiency. And so several weeks later, in February, when I received a call from the chief of pediatric endocrinology at Mass General, I thought, what service? She asked, how is John? I said, he is fabulous. Well done. You know, he was struggling in school. Now he's smart. You know, he has energy. He eats more. You know, all these things that they had said may be related. And she said, that's so great. Can you come in this afternoon with your husband, not your kids, and clear your morning tomorrow for neurology? And I thought, oh, that's great. So probably many people in this room have received the following 4 words: don't look it up. And I said, so bad that I can't look it up? What is it? And she said, well, you know, it's, he's got some elevated levels that are very distressing, and we'd like to talk about it in person. And so I immediately called my pocket consult, my father, and I said, this is what we just got this call. And he said, reject it, force a retest, that's a death sentence. We'll talk about his bedside manner later. I said, thanks for your candor, Dad. Wow, okay. So, we tried to remain calm, and we met with the doctor, and she was very kind. I was struck last night watching the film. I did not receive an envelope. I was greeted instead with kind of the alternate flip, which was a immediate hug from someone that had never hugged me previously, who said, I'm so sorry to tell you this, you're such nice people. And then we knew it was probably not great. So we were, but I do consider that to be a kind of a lucky turn of events, because we learned about ALD the very next day. She had already scheduled an appointment with Florence Eichler, who, if anyone is familiar, we would have been struggling to get into his clinic, but we just kind of fell into it. And so by the next morning, and I've mentioned this, we had already created a PowerPoint of our questions because we'd read a bunch of articles overnight. And we came in ready to go. And he said, I said, I read about the study in France. Footnote 5 states 2 boys. Do you know the outcomes? And he's like, pump your brakes. He said, we're going to have to, first thing first, let's get them tested. Let's figure out what we're doing. Don't fuel the jet for Paris yet. And let's just figure out what's going on. So we were lucky enough, then to realize that after they did extensive testing that there's no wood to knock on, but that he had not yet converted to cerebral disease, and that this was just kind of a really early and exciting and serendipitous chance to catch it early and watch his disease and watch for disease progression. And so, I think Dr. Eichler knew from the start that I was not going to be an easy sideline parent. I was not going to be someone who would just sit back. And, he came to me in 2012, over the years, he said, I think we're going to start a group. I said, that's great, whatever you need. And he said, I have this idea of this organization that's going to be clinicians and researchers and biotech and patients all sitting at the same table in a pre-competitive space. Leave your ego at the door. Education be damned. We're going to sit in a circle. We're going to figure out. We're going to advance the ball, and we're going to advance the cure for this disease, because the boys who are diagnosed with ALD do not have time. Time is not on our side. And certainly if you have cerebral disease, it is not in their favor. So, I don't want to be cliched, but ALD Connect is really built on the premise of not only respect for the patient and for the doctor and for all stakeholders, but that we can catch more fish with a net than we can with one hook. And as rare disease patients, we cannot wait for one doctor, unless it's Dr. Escolar, or one researcher or one biotech company to come and save us and save our children and fix us. And for us, collaboration is key. And so, for my family, I was blessed to be in a position where if we're going to put our effort into this and advocate on behalf of all the ALD boys, because I'm lucky. I have a son with ALD who is not cerebrally involved as of yet, and it's my job to fight until I have to pass the baton or I don't have the energy to do it anymore. So, yes, we've mentioned our patient portal that launched a few months ago. We already have 200 affected individuals in a short matter of months that have logged on and are tracking their neurological function, and doctors they can also do clinic side data entry. We had a biomarker summit where incidentally we were sitting around and we were Skyping in with some participants from Europe, and someone said, look, I'm interested in doing this study. If you have any patients with the following criteria, I would love to get a robust sample size. I'm assuming it will take me several years to compile this data. And someone raised their hand and said, oh, I have probably 100 or so patients. My assistant can put that data on a disk. Can I send it to you? And we all looked around and said, that's the magic sauce. Like, that's what can happen when everybody's primary focus is curing the disease. And I would be remiss without mentioning that we have formed several work groups that are patient-led, dealing with everything from evaluating potential therapies and off-label treatments to physician outreach, patient outreach, our website, a series of educational webinars directly responsive to people who tell us this is what I need to know. Also, as Ben mentioned, not only are we collaborating among physicians and researchers, we are bringing together the various ALD advocacy superheroes. And today, Janice Sherwood and Elisa Seeger are here, and they have my utmost respect and admiration. They are the reason why millions of boys are going to be saved because of newborn screening. And it's so important that Aiden and Sawyer and Evan and PJ and countless boys did not pass in vain. So, in closing, I'm so grateful for this honor. I hope that, if you're in an organization that does not have a robust kind of collaborative partnership, that you would consider adding it or enhancing the magic that you're already working with, because today I was in a track 4, and this fabulous speaker said, 1 + 1 = 3, and that's what we've found, that the sum is greater than our parts. So thank you.